Hello and welcome to the final quarter of the Whisky Explorers Advent Calendar 2022. Christmas is fast approaching. Day number 18, 18th of December. I don't really have any factoids for you today. I had a look, but I felt like everything that I could see was really scraping the barrel a bit. If any of you guys at home know of any observances or anniversaries for December the 18th, let me know in the comments, because I really couldn't find a lot. But hopefully today's dram will be a little bit more eventful and a little bit more memorable. Had the Mackmyra, another Mackmyra yesterday, which was a good one. Not the sort of thing that I would have bought for the price that it sells at, but an interesting whiskey. Ooh, nearly dropped it. It's what happens when you're not looking what you're doing. So another reasonably dark one. What about clarity? Does it look chill filtered? Looks, yeah, it does look pretty clear, doesn't it? Hopefully it's not chill filtered, hopefully it's a wonderful craft presentation. Here we go. On first impressions, I like that quite a lot. Smells very Scotch. Smells very sweet. Reminds me a little bit of the Tamdhu from a couple of days ago. And by that I mean that it's that Speyside style, but it's more of an assertive, more challenging, more meaty, complex, not overly sweet and overly easygoing. It's more of an interesting side to Speyside. So sweet sherry, a little bit of a spiciness, a little bit of a meatiness, not overly sweet on the sherry. Smells like perhaps a mix of like Oloroso casks and something drier, maybe a little bit of Fino or Manzanilla, that type of thing thrown into the mix. Or maybe just a mix of, like we had on the Tamdhu. I actually looked it up after I did the video, and that Tamdhu, I guessed from the blind nosing and tasting that it would have been a mix of Oloroso and bourbon. Turns out it's actually a mix of first fill Oloroso and refill Oloroso. So slightly out on that one, but along the right lines. And I think with this one, I think possibly a similar cask makeup to that Tamdhu, possibly some bourbon in there, but probably also a mix of sweet and drier sherry, or possibly some refill in there, knocking the sweetness down. Sweet, nutty, obvious sherry influence, obvious sweet, creamy, sugary grape influence, but also with that slightly peppery, a little bit of tea tannin, nutty, peanut, marzipan, slightly meaty. I think I said that before. So bags of character. I've got an idea about the ABV, but I'm not going to say yet, because every time I say and then I taste it, I often change my mind. I think that when you're trying to guess an ABV, it's really all down to the palate and the intensity on the late palate especially that gives you those clues. So let's see how it tastes. I'm going to go with my first guess actually. I was thinking 43%, and I'm going to stick with that 43%. It's going to be my guess on this one. The palate is a little bit lacking compared to the nose, and I think that's all down to the ABV, but really the flavours that you get on the palate of this one are a masterclass in clever use of sherry casks, because it's got all those wonderful flavours that you might associate with sherry, the sweet, bright fruitiness, the grape notes, but it's also got those nutty, slightly peppery, slightly meaty, stewed meat notes. Some nice tea tannins on both the nose and the palate as well. I think that the late palate of this one lets it down ever so slightly. It's got good intensity, good complexity and good balance, but it's just that little bit light, which makes me think this probably is a 43% whiskey. Yeah, very, very enjoyable. Very wise choice of casks, and shows good cask management and masterful blending on behalf of whoever made this. In particular, I do really like those well-matured malty notes and that slight tannic stewed tea quality. So let's see what we've got. I think that's another one that's going to be high up on the leaderboard, and I think if it's another affordable priced one, it's probably another one that I would definitely consider buying. So I don't think this is one that we had in the advent calendar before, but I think it's similar. This is the Mortlach 12-year-old, which is, it's actually very fitting that I mentioned the Tamdhu from a couple of days ago when I was tasting this, because I always think that Mortlach and Tamdhu, and especially Mortlach, they really are in that subset of Speyside distilleries that have that more challenging, grown-up, challenging really is the operative term. It's just got that much more character. It's not just a sweet orchard bomb. It's really got that much more going on, and it's probably for the more discerning Speyside malt drinker that wants something that little bit more complex. And I think I was actually thinking it when I was trying the Tamdhu a couple of days ago. I was thinking that Tamdhu is probably a good alternative to anyone who likes the more affordable, and none of them really are, but the more affordable Mortlachs. If you like that style of whiskey, then the Tamdhu is probably something that you really should try. So the Tamdhu, I think we said that sold for about £45 a bottle. This Mortlach 12, it's a very similar ABV, 43.4, which I think I guessed 43. It's 12 years old, so it's a very similar whiskey with a very similar presentation to that Tamdhu 12. Let's just have a look and see how much this stuff sells for. So Mortlach 12-year-old, 43.4%, 12 years old, £55 a bottle. I think therein lies the rub with that one. That's really the problem. And the reason why I don't really buy Mortlach, because as good as it is, and have a look at Brenne and Jacob's channel, Sour Leg Whiskey Review, those guys like their Mortlach as well, but it's just not, it's not well priced. The price that Diageo choose for Mortlach, they've picked Mortlach as one of their distilleries that they want to premiumise. It's that horrible word that Diageo's a massive fan of. Especially when you look at the Mortlach NAS, No Age Statement whiskey from the special releases this year. £250 for a whiskey that's not guaranteed to be older than 3 years. They're really taking the piss a little bit. And I think they're taking the piss a little bit with this one as well. 12 years old, 43%, £55. It's a well-made whiskey. It would be even better if they gave us 46%. But £55 is just too much. But again, the great thing about the Advent calendar is that you pay a set price and you get to try lots of new things. Hopefully they're new to you. And you get to try or to revisit whiskies that you wouldn't necessarily buy. Because in all honesty, I really like that. I really enjoy that. And I'm looking forward to having the rest of it. As always, I never take price into consideration when I give whiskey a grade, but I definitely do take it into consideration when I say whether I recommend a whiskey. And with this one, it's going to be towards the top of the leaderboard, but not really a recommended purchase. Such a shame that Diageo have decided to make Mortlach, which is one of the great Speyside distilleries, that little bit inaccessible to the average drinker. Because it really can be fantastic whiskey. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Cheers.